One, two, three, one, two, three, and a place to be. I'm your host, Adam Ill. To the right of me is Quan Bizzle. To the left, Sick Cuz the Governor. And in the middle is Jammer One. I think I got it right this time. And we got our man Ty on the show. Peace, peace, peace. What's up? What's up, family?
What's
Um,
up? What's up?
the topic today, um, before you got on the show, Jammer, we were talking about the social media coons like Anton Daniels, but I digress. We're talking about mental health in America, and even more so, mental health issues in the Black community. I'll
Deep.
read off a real brief paragraph. Excuse me, I went to Northern High School if I mispronounce anything. Higher rates of mental health conditions. Black adults are 20% more likely to experience serious mental health problems like major depression disorder or generalizing anxiety disorder. Lower treatment rates. Despite these higher rates, Blacks individuals are less likely to receive mental health treatment compared to their white counterparts. Oh, I'm sorry. And the strong stigma surrounding the mental health within Black communities often prevents individuals from seeking help, with many fear judgment and misdiagnosis.
Right.
I went to Northern High School, so forgive me if I mispronounce anything. Um, Brothers, do y'all agree? Do y'all disagree? What's the issue? Who want to go
Yeah.
first?
I'll take a stab at it first, if you guys don't mind. But I don't disagree with it. Like I do feel like like we're like less likely to go there, go seek mental health assistance. Like I remember, growing up, like you would hear people just calling people like crazy or mentioning that, oh, you want to see the crazy doctor or this and that and so on and so forth. And even like in our health, I mean in our hip hop and our the language that we use, it's very anti mental health. Like I mean, just saying like just the word, for instance, retarded. You know what I mean? Like there's a super negative connotation to that word when you really like depack it and look at it. So it's like I think like men personally, like it's just like we also have like it's not just black things, but it's as men, there's certain things that we have to deal with and like that idea of not being able to like men have to get to the point where we're able to express ourselves emotionally and be able to bring out what's alive in us and be able to talk about those things and and I think the last thing I would add is just like I don't think American culture kind of makes it any better because they like kind of pathologize rest and like grief, and it tells you that you should always be working and never get any rest and so on and so forth, and just in general, American society is sick, and we need help. So that's my
Todd, do you think America? Do you think America's selfishness crashing out?
for
Do you
real. We
think
are.
that?
I mean, we missing like we like for me like just religiously. I just think like soul wise, we have a disease of the soul. Like we have a sickness, and it isn't. It for me like I think like the decline in religiousness and the spirituality and the lack of mental health, the paramount economic crisis and social media, all those things just make it worse, and we're not really doing anything to address it. Like we're making it worse. You can just, I mean, just look at the average person. You can see they're stressed, they're anxious, they're depressed. Like you just look at them. It's nothing hidden. So we need healing.
Facts. Anybody else want you to take a shot at it?
Yeah, because it looks a lot like yeah, you can definitely see it. You can see that even if you just look at photos. You can look at pictures from back in the day, decades. You could just take just random pictures of just people just out and about, videos of people just doing things, walking outside. And you'll see the general expression on their faces. It's like over the years, you can just see like a decline in it. You know what I mean? Even from the addictions that people had from back in the day till now. Like you'll see the addicts that was on the corner back, say in the 80s and 90s, you will see them actively out doing things, even though they were addicted to the substances they were addicted to. Now, I'll see the people that's the current addictions out on the street. They're not out and about. They just standing there just nodding. You know what I mean? Just leaning. You know what I mean? So just that. And then on top of it, then when I hear the street interviews with them and talking to them, and they're talking about the fact that they just know that they're in a place of despair and they know that there's nothing they can do about it. And this is why that's all they do to just get high. It's just like to the point now that society is basically telling everyone to just drink or smoke or do whatever you got to do to just numb the pain and just keep going.
And we're not really addressing it.
Right, we're not, and that's on the street level. But then when you go to professional levels, from doctors, lawyers, and other things like that, they getting powerful prescription for anxiety and all these depressions like that, and they out and about driving and doing things, spazzing out. We got road incidents happening. You know what I mean? Road rage is on the rise. So definitely, there's not only just an issue. This is like a crisis.
Yeah, and then also let me add this: how much how much do we like as Black people spend time slowing down and healing from all of our past trauma and grief and all of those things, and like how does that really factor in? Because that definitely kills your mental too. Like, because I mean, you kind of going in the world and doing your own thing and so on and so forth, and you're not really dealing with your trauma, and that trauma impacts your happiness, how you deal with people, how you work, how you move, how you trust, all of those things. And I think that like adds to our mental health, because I've seen like brothers like they like for instance like they just like you could see like one past trauma where it's like they have been let down before, right? And they got that, like they just feel like I got to do everything myself. I can't. Brothers and sisters, you know what I mean? It's on I got to do everything. That like that hyper independence is a sign of trauma. It's like somebody let you down at some point in your life, and now this is how you deal with it. Like, okay, I'm not going. Like, no one can let me down if I'm always doing it myself. So, like, slowing down and looking at why did that happen? Why do I feel that way? Is a path in the right direction. I think, like for healing wise, mental health wise.
I think on another note, a lot of people are doped up. They depend on drugs to do the work for them. For the people who actually get out and try to find help for themselves, they depend on a drug, which I think is helpful. But if you having like mental issues, you should also try to put the work in to better yourself. For example, if a person has anxiety, it would help I know it's hard, but it would help to try to get out of your comfort zone a little bit. A lot of people don't really do that. And a lot of times it worsens their situation. Like we have this heavy dependency on drugs and medicine and all of that stuff. And the pharmaceutical companies, that's what they want. They want people to be dependent on drugs. They don't want people to get up and help themselves. A lot of the issues that people have, they can, I think that having good, strong friendships and connections with people is just as good as having therapy. It's just as good as having a therapist, But a lot of people don't even have that. And then it's also a lot of people don't like to go to the doctor. They're afraid of what might happen when they go to the doctor, which is very understandable. So it's so many issues that come along with it. It's crazy. It's a heavy thing. Yeah.
Two-part question. Two-part question. So what do you guys think? Why y'all think is blacks are 20% higher than whites? And when a black individual get in trouble is he's prone to it. It's his environment. When a white person get, the same charge, oh, he must have went crazy, or it's not how he was raised, or what could have made little Billy or Sue do this? And second part question, the rise of HIV is stagnating in the black community in Houston, different parts of America. It's like we have lost the fight and given up. What happens when the drugs don't numb anymore? What happens when the talk is just talk? You know.
Well, and I would say another.
So go ahead.
One thing, like, I just want to put out there, sexual education is important, and in many of them southern states, with in terms of like, for the HIV thing, a lot of those southern states have terminated sexual education for people and access to things like, that will promote good sexual hygiene and so on and so forth. Like, I think it's a part of it. I mean, part of it is probably also mental health and other things, but I just wanted to point that out.
You don't think our culture is too sexualized, like the celebrities and stuff like that? The little girls looking up to certain
I
celebs.
think so.
Yeah, the
I think
stones
so.
there.
Of
I
course,
think our culture is very over sexualized.
of course.
Powers that be
Extremely.
knows this. It's been a fight for our existence since we landed on this rock. It's been a fight for our existence, right?
Hmm.
And you know, it was one point, okay, we could no longer physically enslave you. We're going to mentally enslave you. Now to the point where we're not only mentally enslaving you, we're mentally and physically enslaving you. We're just using a different method.
Mm.
Once you got somebody mentally, physically, you already got them. You know what I mean? There's really nothing you got to do as far as getting them to do what you want, because now they got to, in order for them to continue, they're going to have to keep within the box that you've already established for them. Like when you notice people that are addicted to, there's a lot of different addictions when it comes to it. It's more than, sex has been weaponized as a drug now. Money's been weaponized as a drug too. You know what I mean? Because when it's quote unquote free money, you know what I'm saying? That's weaponized. So they say you're only gonna get like just enough, just barely to just survive with, right? And we'll give you that. Now, in order for you to keep that, you got to stay within these parameters. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Don't do this, don't do that, don't have this around, don't blah blah blah. So as long as that stays there, that's going to be there. Now, here's all of this plays into the mind, because when you're taking, you're not even thinking. People are not thinking for themselves anymore. You step into a thing. We got devices like phones and everything like that. We're adding Chat GPT and Copilot, things like that, which are good tools. But at the same time, they're showing studies that, like, say if you were to use it at first, you say you use the AI, right, to do a lot of your figuring out what you want to do. They notice that your mind does not work as hard anymore. Because after you start becoming reliant on that, you start to use that to do your work for you mentally. So a lot of the mental tasks that you normally were doing when you were figuring out your day-to-day tasks before you started using the tools, that starts to disappear. Now, as that disappears, what is your mind doing? It's got a lot of other things, you know what I mean? You got a lot of things to worry about. And without actually going through the things of figuring out what you're going to do, but we're just numbing and delaying the problem. Now the problem's getting bigger and bigger. You got more anxiety. It's like a snowball effect.
People
So
don't pick up people don't pick up books anymore. It's like a rarity to see people at the library. This
Mm.
question directed to Quan Bizzle. Because I see, not to like single out your generation, right? But I see a lot on social media when you see like recently, 19-year-old shot a man in the head or whatever at a Burger King over Whopper. You're starting to see random shootings, right? Um, do you feel safe out there? Like as a youth, like do you he on one, man. He I'm trying to be serious. This dude laughing.
No, it's just
But
sometimes how you pronounce things is kind of.
but
It's how he said Whopper.
Yeah.
It's just guys, 100%. I'm trying to be serious. My condolences to the people. It just the way he said Whopper kind of threw
Okay.
me off.
Okay. Senseless violence in today's youth,
True.
right? I'm not gonna pin it all on them, but you have old fools out there too, shooting and carrying on, and you know, being the puppet masters behind things. Is it a safety far as, and do we feel safe around the younger generation? How do you feel about that? I mean, well,
Yeah. Um, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie. I feel like, and my cousin Ty Lee, he can, we've had our deep talks and stuff like that. Me, I didn't realize it. But I have sometimes I notice that my mental's not there, in certain aspects of my life. And that really started happening when I got into the more outside world, right? Now at the job I'm working at now, when we was having our company and we was working at the Burlington's and everything like that. Now even more that I'm working at a job on my own. I started to notice, man, like when I go through certain confrontations at work, my first thought is, oh, I want to kill this person, or I want to harm this person, or I'm thinking about pitting my hands and really doing something to this person, right? We all had thoughts of that, right? And that could be a woman or a man, right? And and sometimes I will sit and think of that, like, man, why do I have those thoughts of like harming somebody? Why is not my first thought of talking about it? And my first thought is not to, sit down with them, have some discourse about it. And some other people my age I see there, that probably come from a way different lifestyle than mine, you know what I mean? They come off intimidating, they come off as ignorant, don't want to talk, you know, especially when like the elders of the company, they come to them, they be scared to come to the young people. They'll talk all behind their back and say all that, but the minute they come to them, they'll be like shook as a cat, they don't want to say nothing to them. So I think with us, and we scare each other. While you guys were saying what you were saying, I feel like society, when you hear these heinous crimes that been happening since the beginning of time, but we hear these heinous crimes, people chopping up people's bodies, people kidnapping these, people burning people on fire, doing these disgusting things to their own family members. Even within our own family, man, we don't really see about our people's mental health and how they're feeling right now. So, we don't see about our people's mental health, what they're going through. We just look at it as, well, that's Gov, or that's Tylee, or that's Jama, right? But we don't know if one of us might have the urge to blow someone's brains out, right?
Yeah.
But we we always want to check on one another. We always want to talk, communicate. I 100% all the time, I check on my pops because I know me, you know, God protect me from going down that path, but people snap all the time. You like that manager that brought all of his employees in and killed all of them in the meeting room. People snap all the time. You don't never know who's just ready to just snap on you. It could be your own wife sometimes. It could be your brother, your cousin, because people are just fed up with society. People are just fed up with the world, everything, how everything's going. You know what I mean?
They say black people shoot bosses and white people shoot up schools. So,
Truth there.
uh,
It's a mix. It's a mix, though.
what are solutions, fellas?
I was thinking of that. It's like I think like just one thing for me, like personally, like I don't speak for myself really. It's like learning how to net like Quan, when you talking about, oh man, I get this urge and like why do I feel this way? I think like it's important for all of us to like internally learn how to name that. Like what it is, like, okay, that's anger. And it's not wrong that you have anger. It's not wrong that you have You might like if someone says something that frustrates you or angers you, that's your natural reaction. You know what I mean? But how you respond to it is the most important part. So it's like learning. The first step though is like learning to name that. And a lot of brothers don't. For me, what I see is like we don't know how to bring out what's alive in us. And a part of that might be that we're not, someone didn't teach us, or we don't haven't developed that language, or we don't read enough, or whatever. But that's important. Like we gotta be able to say that's anger, that's envy, that's grief. You know what I mean? And then be able to chart a plan and be able to evaluate what comes up from that. Like you got to be like, okay, I'm angry. I want shoot this person, but you know what? If I do X, Y, and Z. And the other thing I want to add to it is critical thinking. I think that in this world, in this society, there's been that critical thinking, analytical skills have been degraded significantly. So people don't have those things when that stuff like that comes up. They get confused, you know what I mean, or mentally, emotionally, because they can't think their way through. I know it sounds condescending, but I'm just saying it through the issue. So I was just saying. And then the last thing is spiritual grounding. I think people should be. We're not spiritually grounded. We need that's once we find that, that's when I feel like we'll find healing.
Yeah, conflict. How many minutes we got left, Gov? 10. Yeah, it's just learning how to deal with conflict. Communication skills. Back in our day, you stump on some. A lot of people. You go to the club, you stomp, you step on somebody's white on white Air Forces, whatever, and all hell break loose. I'm quite sure someone right now serving time for something that happened 15 years ago that could have been resolved. Stomping on the feet, or dancing with someone's woman, or something that could have woke up the next day and say, my pride is hurt a little bit, but I got through it, and I'm not spending the life in jail or eternity in a box. And I think that a lot of that comes from growing up in single parent houses where where the mother is the hierarchy. There's no fathers there, and if the fathers is there, they submit to what the woman has laid down the laws and rules. And that comes from slavery. So you're raising emotional men. You're raising confused women when their innate feeling is for the man to lead. So when that same young individual, he goes outside, and not only that, he's dealt with the stereotypes and the pressures of watching movies and what's the norm in his community. Oh, because I got to fight to be tough. I got to fight to make friends. All my friends, 90, probably 8% of them I fought as a child. Now somebody will say, oh, that's to tough you up as a kid or whatever, blah, blah, whoop, the whoop. Could we have just been friends without the fighting?
Yep.
I was going to say another solution should be self-awareness, because crazy people don't know that they're crazy. And a lot of times when people when you get in a conflict, and friends do this a lot, when you get into a conflict with your friends, sometimes your friends will actually tell you what's wrong with you. But as people thinking that we're right all the time, we take offense to it. And sometimes your friends, like a lot of times when your friends telling you about yourself and telling you off or whatever, you have a natural inclination to snap back. But it's conflict, but it helps you. Like it's a way of conflict resolution. You have to be self-aware of what's going on. You have to be aware of your surroundings. And then I know it's hard. It's also hard to apologize. Like if you get into a little beef or scuffle with your boss at work or something, and you might feel bad about it a few days later. And you want to apologize, but you don't because your pride won't allow you to. Something inside is telling you that your boss deserved it. You know what I mean? Like it's just little things like that that we could think about and we could try to work, that we can try to work out so we can, have a more peaceful, productive environment. It's okay to apologize to people. It's okay. Like when you in the club and somebody step on your shoes and they scuff your white on white Air Force Ones, if they say sorry, I mean, you might still be a little salty, but it was a mistake. A lot of people, a lot of people will be like, nah, but for real, just learning how to apologize and to accept an apology, because everything don't need to be a crash out. It really don't. It don't need to be a crash out. People crash out because they have pent up aggressions, because they don't know how to resolve their issues. Self-awareness. That's all I got to say about that.
And it makes it scary to walk amongst your own community. Like, I don't want to go get a pizza because, I may look at somebody the wrong way, y'all. Right. I may order anchovies and then as I'm leaving, and the guy, like, I take what I had the same order, or he took the last anchovies. My dog, you took the last anchovies, son? Blah, blah, woo, the woo. Well, look, you can have, like, come on, man. Like, I can't vouch what's going on in other countries, right? I know when my experiences in Morocco, the conflict, resolution was different. And it's still mind blowing to me that one homicide within the last 6, 7 years. That's mind blowing. When I tell people over here, they think I'm capping. They think I'm, Joey capping. Nah, man, nah. I know they're going to want to get on their phones and look up this information, but it's there. Right? And it's mind blowing. In Baltimore City alone, and shout out to the mayor of Baltimore. He said crime, violent crime has went down. That's a plus. I'm always for positivity. But, you're talking about a city that averages 300, 300 homicides a year. And the majority of those homicides could have been avoided. So hopefully, I keep saying it, I'm going to put up some type of hotline across the screen where, counseling, and don't be afraid to go see counseling, man. That's another thing that Black people don't like to do. Don't be afraid, man. Tell somebody, because sometimes you can't always tell people. You can't always tell your family. You get what I'm saying?
Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. That's right.
Exactly. So we're gonna put a hotline up on here. Right. Gov, where can they find you?
Governor's Mansion, Instagram.
Jan, where can they find you?
Jamma1, JAMMA_WUN on Instagram and also on YouTube.
Quan Bizzle, where can they find you?
Follow your music on all platforms.
And Ty, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn at TIELEE Clark.
And you can find Guess I Said on all platforms. We'll be back with the last one, and this is the unpopular opinion. Should pedophilia be looked at as homosexuality is looked at today? Should it be accepted? So, and that's going to be in the Patreon below. You will not get that one. You will have to pay for that segment, which is $4. In this case, $5, because 5 of us here today. So we'll be back with that, and we'll wrap it up. Peace.
Peace.
Stop it. Get some help.